Russell. Boop. There we go. Alrighty. All right. We're going to do some Innerface, and then we're going to do a little Elijah. All right, Russ, how we looking? We on line? Let me look and see if we're on line. Yep. We there. All right. Hello, everybody. We're gonna do some Innerspace today, and then we're gonna do some Elijah. Since I couldn't write for the last week, I'm gonna wait to do Talmud next week. If you got your Innerspace book, we're gonna start on page 49. If anybody's following along in Innerspace book, and after we read the prayers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the camera around. I'm going to use my camera, and we're going to go up here to the board, and I'm going to go through the board because this is really a good point in our lesson to go through the board, all the points on the board, which is called the Histoshalut, the order of spiritual creation, to see just what God's doing and what we have to understand about the world of creation, the world of Breshit, the world that we live in here. So we're gonna do that today, and I hope y'all like it. So today we get to study Torah for the sake of Israel and Jerusalem, and we'd like to give the merit of our Torah and the merit of our study to Stephen King, Abraham Ben Moshe Gilla, Ed Stribling, Linda Flora, Carly Serio, Brandon Walsh, Raymond Rosentrader, Brooke Gibson, Paul Navarez, Garrett Matledge, Jared Matledge, Patients of Texas Oncology, Rita Wilson, Betty McCuskey, Lola, daughter of Justin Lakeisha Neal, Berea Wanstaff, Elise Hagar, Nadine Freeman, Logan Willis, Billy Hope, Charles David, Rosa Hollander, Christopher Bedurka, Noel Cardoza, David Douglas, Vicki McLean, Savannah, daughter of Matthew and Misty Cass, Tom and Karen Maitland, Sandra Hayes, Carol Teagle, Larry Langberg, Juliet Navarez, Blake Honolulu Briscoe, Sam Peake, Yehuda Haibim Matai James London, David Jenkins, Jake Suarez, Bobby Williams Sr., Sally Talamontes, the Rogers family, Carol Gibson, Damian Washington, Carol Scott, Rabbi Richmond, Maurice Greenwood, Gracie Bill Linder, Stanley Hirsch, Brandy Boots, Amanda Elliott, Frank Pollard, Carol's family, Baby Denard, Michelle Magnuson, Jenna Marie, Kimberly Brown, Debbie January, Kim Lively, Crespin Rodriguez, Sandra Hirth, Virgil Williams, Brad Mace, Jocelyn Liver Nickerson, Jerry Matlish, Dylan Tinkle, Amber Merchant, Simca Ben Abraham and family, Celinda Sheffields, Louis Gutierrez and family, Aaron Price, Gail McWhorter, Sonia Kinzer, Kathy John Michael Christopher Ramos, Jean Senajak Coates, Nellie Warlick, Tahila Abuelo, Miranda Rosas, Jim Barfield and family, Naama Batsimka, Terry King, Ronald Whitlow, Kathleen Graham Walsh, Brandon's family, Mila Rose, Monica Johnson, Ed and Dottie Garrison, Moshe Salavechek, Don Marie, Farrar Sajid, Benson Ewing, Darlene Yautz, Debbie Henson, Anita Jones, Jessica Ross, Brandon Wells, Daniel Garcia, Gideon, Salvador Gutierrez and family, Phoebe Bridges, Jacob Ben Simca, Maxine Wagner, son of Marcy Wagner, Mark Malledge, Emily Batova, Nadine Bat Miriam, Jackie Cup, Carla Manzanares, Beth Carmen, Alton Tillman, Elvia Rosas, and we'd like to also pray for rain for those in South Africa where Jacques Coates live. They're in an incredible drought, and they are about to run out of water, literally. All right. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins. They cannot bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awake and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. May you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor, as aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their holiness and Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study, and by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I'll see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Today, I'm going to reveal who Mashiach is. I know y'all are all excited. Now, in Innerface, this chapter 5 deals with Keter and Malchut, the top and the bottom, or the head and the crown. Okay? Now, throughout this piece, the Keter is known as Ein Sof. They label Keter as Ein Sof, and the Malchut is the nothingness. Just as there's nothingness above, the no thingness, God is no thing, Malchut has to be no thingness as well. It's nothing. So we always say Malchut has nothing of its own. Everything it has been given to it by God. All right? In order for it to receive it, to send it back. And this is how God is learning something new about himself. He's having to distance the worlds from him so that it can get to a point to where it's almost separated, so that when creation does an action, which is a mitzvah, that's called doing the will of God, which is our choice, which is our free choice to do the will, then we are doing his will. Then all of a sudden, Keter is gone, and the At comes in, and that's knowledge. And now we have our will. That is, now we are what's a good term? We are exuding will. Now we have will. Everything up until that point is free choice. So how do we flip from, how do we have our own will when really it's just his will? Right?
Right. There ain't nothing here but
There ain't nothing here but his will. Okay? So, now, what that, on page 49 and 50, that is basically talking about that. And what I want to do is start at the very bottom of the page of 50, in the very last line. Ultimately, this involves, we're trying to draw the spiritual world into physicality, into the physical dimension. So the purpose of Malchut, the purpose of where we live, is to draw the spiritualness into physicality. All right? This is the highest levels of consciousness in our own personal life. Man thus truly resembles God after he transcends his own selfhood. In other words, become bittul yesh, become nothing. So that you have to, that's the whole thing. You have to pour the vessel out. We had to do this when we left Christianity. Everything we had learned, we had to pour it out, so we had space or room to get knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of Torah. If you don't, then you're just mixing good with the bad, right? Okay? Thus man truly resembles God when, after transcending his own selfhood and recognizes that the very essence is somehow with God, he realizes that existence itself is an awesome gift of love and kindness. And page 51, top paragraph, last line. When he connects to God's will, his potential for transforming the world into a heavenly kingdom is limited. It's unlimited. All right? When you actually make the interface with the Holy One, we can transform, we can bring heaven to earth, so to speak. All right? Which is what Solomon did, which is what Moses did, which is what David did. These guys could literally brought spirituality into physicality. And what that means is they took the Malchut, the earth, the Nukva, the feminine vessel, the Kalim, the vessel, and they allowed the upper light to fill it. Okay? That's why we do the feast. Most of the feasts are on the full moon, because the moon is like the Malchut, and the sun is like the Keter, and as it shines, she has her fullness. The moon has no light of its own, so it requires the sunlight for it to shine. All right, that's a really good analogy. So, what I'm going to do is we've gone through all of the levels of creation, right? We've gone through the sporadic structure, and we've gone through the worlds with the angels and all that stuff. Well, all that stuff is right here on my board. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to walk up to the board, and I'm going to walk you guys through this board and show you what creation really, really is. All right? Now, let me grab my camera here. It may get a little jerky for a second. And we're going to spin her around. Okay. All right. Now let's turn this one on. There we go. All right. So on my board here, what you're going to see right up here in the top left corner, I got a line with some little dots. That is the Ein Sof. That is actually the Keter. Now, this is called Ak, Adam Kadmon. Kadmon means primordial. Kadmon means primordial. We're going to call this the old one. Or better yet, let's call it the greater. All right? Now, what he has to do is he's making Yud He Vav He. Yud He Vav He is 56. If you take the 5 of the left hand or the 5 of the right hand, we're going to call it the 5 Guvarot, because he's making feminine. 5 times 26 is 130, and Jacob lived to be 130. And Adam was separated from Hava 130 years in the river. So he's got to make the Midot, which is the six middle Sphirot, but he's trying to make the Hay. Now the Hay is made out of a Vav, and a Dalet. All right, this is where we get the 10 Sphirot, and then we have the 6 middle. So without going through all of the names, I'm going to give you a brief overview. I drew this picture off of a lesson, just out of writings of the Ari. All right. This is what I'm going to call the body of Adam Kadmon. We're going to call this his head, and this is heart, and this is chest, and this is his reproductive center. Okay? So, what the Ein Sof has to do is to create Adam Kadmon. He had to bind himself up. And so, if you'll see right in here, there's an En. That's the Nephesh. That's the soul that's in the middle. And all of these concentric rings are the 10 Sphirot. They're all bound. It's unity. There's nothing split. So when he started emanating his light, we have the emanation of the eye, of the ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. This is what's called Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ben. We're just real quick, make it easy. We're going to say father, mother, son, daughter. We're going to say Abba, Ima, Za, Nukva. Those are some terms that we should be familiar with now. Now, he's going to have inner light, which is called Or Pinimi, and he's going to have outer light, which is Or Makif. The Or Makif is the secret of Noga. This is secret of Garing. The secret of the inner light, which is the secret of the Jew, is Or Pinimi. And how is he going to do it? He's going to emanate it first from the female, which is Rachel and Leah. Those are the aspects of Adam Kadmon. As these come down, they are bound, because we understand that the female is the vessel. That's the womb to contain the light. So he has to create the vessel. Now, because this is Keter, and he's trying to get over here, and here's a spherotic tree, and he's trying to get all the way down here to Malchut. Keter, Malchut. On this spherotic structure, the 10 spherot, the top one is Keter. This spherot contains all of this. All right? So, what I did was I took this and blew it up over here. So here's how it works. The first thing he had to do is contract himself, squeeze himself. That's the Simpson. This is creating darkness. He's having to make a space where there is no light, where something he can feel. This is the world of Akudim, which means bound. And in a minute in our book, you'll see where Kaplan says, and what God had to do, and we're going to call God here Adam Kadmon, what he had to do was bind himself and constrict himself and restrict himself so that he could not past his own boundary, because he's trying to let the world have choice and will. And we're going to read through it in a minute, but until you see this on the board, you may not understand it when we read it. So that's why we're going over the board. This is the world of the bound, and this is the next world is the world of Nekudim. And then we get to the world of Berudim. Bound, spots or points, and banded. Now you understand when Jacob went to Laban's house, the sheep were bound, spotted, and banded. What is Jacob working on? He is working on this world. He is working on the world of Adam Kadmon. He's trying to fix it. Why does it need fixing? Because when he bound it up and the light emitted, it shattered the vessels. They were not able to contain it. This is Genesis 36. This creates the world of Nekudim. And it shatters at Da'at, because Da'at, as we will read in our book, is the world of expression. God is trying to express himself, and he's too much for himself. And so it shatters, and everything falls to the left. This is the left on this screen. Everything falls to the left. And if you'll read in Genesis 36, these are the kings that lived and died, lived and died, lived and died, lived and died. Until you get to the 8th king, which is Mahetavel and Hadar. Mahetavel and Hadar is none other than Adam and Hava. So during the whole Torah, we have in Genesis, in the first few lines, are the words Rapak, Shak, and Par. These are called the dinim. These are the fragmented fractures of light that shattered in these vessels. The Rapak is Potiphar's wife. Joseph had to go fix that. The Shak is the Cushite woman. Moses had to go fix that one. And the Pardinim was Timnah. Timnah has Amalek. Nobody fixes that. What fixes that? The Paraduma, known as the red heifer. Okay? So, in the world of Berudim, this is the world of Tikkun. It has Asiya, Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya in it. And as you see this line and this line, I've expanded those worlds over here. So what God had to do was to create, what Adam Kadmon had to do was create a new light, the light of redemption. This light of redemption is called the light of Ma. The gematria of Ma is 45. Adam is 45. Aleph, Daled, Mem is 45. So right here we have Adam Kadmon, and right here the tree of life is Adam Harishon. This is the greater Metatron. This is the lesser Metatron. Now, in the book of Zechariah, it says that when Mashiach stands on the Mount of Olives, and his foot stands on the Temple Mount, and it will split from the east to the west. The word east is Kedem. And it will extend all the way to a place called Atzal. Atzal is none other than Atzilut. It is going to rip from Asiya all the way to Atzilut. And what is his foot? His foot is, if we're dealing with Keter and Kedem, Adam Kadmon, the very tip, the very bottom of his foot is none other than Malchut. That is what is going to happen. So, who is the Messiah? Adam Kadmon. All right. Now, we have one Adam. We have the other Adam. This Adam is the Adam of the garden. Now, creation is the farthest thing from Adam Kadmon and the Ein Sof. So now we have our 10 Sfirot right here. This is the first day of the week, the second day of the week, the third day of the week, the fourth day of the week, the fifth day of the week, the sixth day of the week, and this is none other than Shabbat. This is the Midot. This is the Mohin, the brain that we were talking about. Here's Da'at. This is two-tailed Leviathan. And God created the two-tailed Leviathan to sport with. That is the expression of himself, as we will read in the book in just a second. And so throughout creation, we have Adam Kadmon. This is the will. Og, Sog, Mon, Ben. These are the names of God. When Moses split the Red Sea, he used the name of Ab, the 72 name. That's how high he used with the name of God. So we have the Adam of Atzilut, which is the Partsufim, the Sfirot. These are the faces. Where do we see the term faces? In the term Sar HaPanim, minister of the faces. None other than Metatron. The Adam of Berea. These are Seraphim, the world of creation. The Adam of Yetzirah. This is speech. These are the Hayot. This is the world of formation. and Adam of Asiya, or action. This is the world of the Oraphim, or completion. All right? So within the Keter, there are many names of God. If we're talking about the Keter of Keter, its name is Atik Yomin. If we're talking about the Malchut of Keter, its name is Arik Anpin. And Daniel saw a man sitting on a throne, white beard, all that. The Ancient of Days, Arik Anpin, is the name of the Malchut of Adam Kadmon, primordial man, Ancient of Days. See how it works. So, where are we? We are here. Now, what you have to understand is all of creation, the world of Breshit, the world of Genesis, it is not the beginning of anything. It's only the edge of God. It's the very edge of God that we're dealing with. This entire time period is 974 generations. From Adam, the light of Ma, from Adam to Moses is 26 generations. If you take 974 plus 26, which is Yud He Vav He, you will get 1,000. 1,000 is the numerical value of Keter. Everything past Moses is getting further out on the edge. And as soon as it gets to the very, very edge, Adam Kadmon, which is the only thing here, which is the greater Metatron, will come. That's the secret of everything. Okay? Now, if we think about the Nakash is the serpent in the garden. Nakash stands for Novlot Chokmah Shel Ma. You see the word Ma right there. Ma, Adam. It stands for distilled supernal wisdom. The Nakash is really not a name. It's a formula. The serpent is a formula of supernal wisdom that has been distilled down. What happened to the Nakash? It got contaminated in the fallout of what we know as the Tohu. The Tohu is, we're going to call it radioactive waste of the explosion of, if you want to say Big Bang, of all creation, because here is the big explosion. Right here in Da'at. All right? And the Torah says that God castrated the male Leviathan and killed the female Leviathan. That's what it's talking about there. All right? So, in this entire sequence of events, we have a front side of this thing, but we also have a back side of this thing. We have one surface, two sides. On the front side, you have all the tzaddikim. You have Seth and Shem and Noah and Abraham and Isaac and all the front side. On the back side, because the backside Adam's spinal backside got contaminated. This is Esau, Edom from Genesis 36. This is also the aspect of the fallen aspect of this light of Metatron, called the fallen angels. The fallen angels are nothing more than Uzzah and Azazel. These are the two angels. This is why there Azazel is even a part of the prayer of the sea, because the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, is called Kriyat Yamsuf. Kriyat Yamsuf is nothing more than the edge of the Ein Sof. They got to the edge and they had to rip through it. And what is that? Uzzah and Azazel. If you see right here, we have Uzzah and Azazel. This is known as Samael, the Satan. This is the backside, and if a good mnemonic to use is it oozed out. Uzzah and Azazel. That's why when you have the scapegoat is for Azazel. You got to feed the other side. All right. That is called the backside or the edge of the Ein Sof. It is better known as concretized light. What do we know is concretized light? Orla. This is the secret of circumcision. To remove the orla, the concretized light of the backside, the klipa, so that the malchut, the Teret HaYesod of Adam, i.e. Israel, has no virus on it. That's the name of the game. So what is he trying to do? He is trying to get his Keter and his Malchut back together. His kingdom and his crown. Okay? So that is a little overview of what is going on in the whole deal. The masculine aspect is the written Torah. The female aspect is the oral Torah. The oral Torah is the soul, and the written Torah is the body. If you have no soul, you have no life. Therefore, you have to have both. It's hand in glove. Now, what has happened is this area called Yesod, and in Kabbalah we call it the Nahi, Netzach Hod Yesod. The shortened term is called Nahi. See it right? You see it right here. The Nahi. That is where all of the contamination gets on. Now, the word Chabad, many of you know the Jewish people that are part of Chabad. Chabad comes from the acronym of Chokmah, Bina, Da'at. Therefore, they call themselves Chabad. All right? So this is a little bit of where some of these terminologies come from. So let's now go back to our book. Good overview?
Yes, very good.
Different language.
Okay, gang. So now, if you will look on page 51, it says the hidden sphera. We get the 10 sphirot from the 10 times it says God said. The problem is it only says God said 9 times. Where do we get the first one from? Right there, second paragraph. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. If that happened, God said it. Okay? Now, we have the same issue in the 10 Commandments. How many commandments are in the 10 Commandments? 10 or 9?
Well, they listed out as 10,
It's got to be
but
10.
the first one,
Come on, you're on it.
There's 2 in it,
Well, there's only 9 commandments.
but there's 2 in the first.
right? God is the first.
Yeah.
You should put those. Yeah.
So just like in the creation process, the first one is about God because it's Keter. You see? It's Keter. God, it is God. Just like in the Ten Commandments, the first one says, what? I am the Lord your God. I am God. Mm-hmm. The second commandment is actually the first commandment. Don't put anything on my face, on my panim.
First one's a statement.
The first one's a statement. That's right. The first commandment is a statement. So when he says don't put anything on my panim, what is he talking about? That right there. What we just went over. Don't put anything on my face, because Adam Harishon of the garden is his face. This is how he interfaces with creation. This is how Adam Kadmon interfaces with creation. And the Ein Sof interfaces with Adam. Interfaces with Adam Kadmon. All right? This is how it works. The system that it uses to do all the interfacing, all the angels, everything is called Metatron. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey is a formula. It's a name formula. And it just gets me when everybody tries to pronounce it. You can't pronounce it. Yud is Hokmah, Hey is Bina, the 6 Midot are the Vav, and the final Hey is Malchut. That has no pronouncing. It's impossible to pronounce it. Yet they will try. Yahweh, Yehovah, they'll try anything to pronounce it. What does God say? What is one of the commandments? Don't blaspheme my name. What does that mean? Don't change my name from anything that it is.
You're trying to put God into a box.
Yeah, and you can't. And you can't. So they're already making grievous sins against the Holy One. Now, if we'll look in the very last paragraph on page 51. As the highest sphere of Keter is the interface between the infinite Ein Sof and its creation. It partakes the very quality of infinity that makes it possible to speak about the Ein Sof itself. Without Kabbalah and Kabbalah terminology, you can't even talk about God. You can't know anything about it, much less even talk about it. Because all we are talking about is attributes. How it interacts with creation. That's the only thing you can do. You can't know anything else about it. Only its interface can you know. Like a crown and it like a crown that sits on top of the head, it's not a part of the body. Therefore, Keter is not included. Now, go down to where it says Keter and Da'at on the bottom of page 52. On this page, second paragraph, it says, we saw that Keter crown was equivalent to a person's most basic will. In other words, when you become his Malchut, that's Sandalph on. When you become God's Malchut, his vessel that he can use, put his light in, now you have just connected to the crown. What do we call that? Coming under the wings of the Shekhinah. A Keter is a person's internal selfhood and internal volition. Da'at knowledge, on the other hand, is the intellect a person shows to the world. So Da'at is how you express or externalize something.
Exactly.
Okay? The person's ability to express his intelligence to others. So if we have wisdom, right, Blaine? For y'all, we'll have to go wisdom, understanding. When wisdom and understanding of Torah come together, they make Da'at. And it comes out as knowledge. You can express yourself. So what did God have to do? He had to make Da'at a restrictive spot. if he didn't make it a restrictive spot, all of his knowledge and all of his wisdom would just flow out. And when he tried to do that in the world of Nekudim, he tried to make a restrictive spot, Akudim, it put it all together. And when he put his light, when he emitted him, when he was just himself, it shattered.
Is that like the Big Bang?
Yeah, it's called the world of Tohu, the world of Nekudim. And that is the sparks of light from God. That is the souls of men. So what is Adam's job? To pick up the pieces and put them back in the basket. The basket's called the Da'at of Adam Kadmon. So when you return to Torah, no more Da'at Keter, boom, you're back. That is called returning back to Torah. This is, you are new. You're brand new. You don't have Kleep on you anymore. All right? This is the secret of convert. That's the secret of it. This is the secret of all Gerim. So why is the Torah in exile? Why are the Jews in exile? Why have they been in a pretty much state, except for Solomon, in a state of exile for 6,000 years? Because 6 is Yesod. To pick up the pieces of the souls of the light of Adam Kadmon. That's why they're in exile. That's why it's tough. Because now Adam has to work the land. What is the land? The Malchut. What is it called in the garden? Hava. Eve. Okay? You getting it? Now, Da'at is the function of the ability to communicate one's thoughts effectively. Now we're going to go to a thing I really like to study, God's free will. Okay, page 53. About third line. Keter crown can be said to represent God's absolute freedom of action. God is free to do whatever he wants, right? God's Da'at knowledge, on the other hand, can be said to introduce an element of predetermination in creation. Why did God make Da'at? So he could control himself. And he created the Leviathan to sport with. You see it? See what he's doing? God's knowledge of the present, past, and future is exactly present and future is exactly like his knowledge of the past. To God, future events, current events, past events, they're one event to him. There's nothing old, nothing new. So it's like, what do you buy a billionaire for his birthday? You see? What do you get God that he doesn't already possess? Pieces of himself back. The return of his own light. Straight light, curved light. We call that stimulation from below. The Torah calls it Ma'im Nukvin, Man. That's the offerings, that's the prayers, that's all the stuff. This is what it is. He is getting signal back. He sent a probe to Mars, and the Mars is sending back what's in Mars. And he had to restrict himself so that he wouldn't transgress his own laws. What are some of the laws that we have that doesn't matter what you do, you can't break them? Gravity. You see, those are different kinds of laws. There's the laws of Torah you can't break. Those are the obvious ones. That's Peshita. But gravity, you cannot change gravity.
Light.
Yeah, the spinning of the earth. You can't do anything with it. You can't change what the ocean does. You can't change the weather. There's certain patterns that are put in place that are laws of creation that cannot change. There are times when God, when it needs it, like when Joshua stopped the sun and when Moses split the sea, where the only way to do that is they had to go beyond knowledge to wisdom and use the names associated with that in order to get it done. They had to step into Absolute, into 4D, so that they could make God pull his arm, twist his arm a little bit to react in 3D.
Like the plagues of Egypt.
Like the plagues of Egypt. The strikes of Egypt were 10 strikes of the backside. Why? Because Pharaoh and the Klippa had ascended all the way to a Recon Peen, which is almost an impossibility. Most Kabbalah says it's impossibility. Well, so when you're pulling on Superman's cape, guess what? You're gonna get Superman. You know? And Moses, Mem, Shin, Metatron, Sandalphon, that's the name of Moshe. He was his delivery system. Okay?
Against the gods of Egypt.
Against the gods, which is
gods.
which is all Uzzah and Azazel. How did they learn the witchcraft? How did they learn at the Tower of Babel to use the names of God to build the tablet? How did Nebuchadnezzar have all these different kind of powers associated in Pharaoh? Because Uzzah and Azazel taught them 4D. Taught them how to do it. All right. So what does King Solomon do? King Solomon goes and chains Ashmedai, who's the head demon of. It was basically he's the son of Uzzah and Azazel. He changed him up. In other words, he restricted the backside. Guver wrote he mitigated it, and there was nothing it could do. All right. This was the secret of Bathsheba. Who is Bathsheba? Lilith, the mother. She was the demonic force that was running it all. What did he do? Mitigated her. All right? Because everything has fallen out, everything is going to return back in. If you mitigate the Klippa, it's gone. What is the part of the Klippa you cannot mitigate? Amalek. It is the virus itself. It will utterly be destroyed. Okay? Now, to our free will. Furthermore, man's knowledge, God's knowledge is furthermore, unlike man's knowledge, God's knowledge is absolute and deterministic. His knowing he knows what he's going to do before he makes what he's going to do known. This being so, the question arises to whether God is really free to do what he wants. Is God really free to do what he wants? Or can it be said that his knowledge, his da'at, acts as the determining factor to limit his free will, which is Keter, which is what we just explained.
Which is within his laws.
Which is within his laws. And what happened was, the only way to make free will on the other side of him was to make a narrow tunnel to try to put it through that he knew it couldn't contain. This is called the fall of Adam. Adam was set up. Adam knew he was set up. Adam even goes before the Holy One and says, it says in your Torah, when a man shall die in his tent, you set me up. He goes, no, you just caused that. He always throws it back to Adam. No, I didn't do that. You did that. What's the truth? Adam did do it.
He didn't have a choice.
He didn't have a choice, though. So, here we see that mutual exclusion of Keter and Da'at is rooted in the philosophical paradox that involves God's knowledge and his free will. Last sentence. His free will will not be... His free will is not restrained by anything, even his own da'at. God constricts his freedom of choice. Oh, now it's a choice. See, a while ago it was a will. He constricts his freedom of choice in order to allow infinite time and space to continue to come into existence. He has chosen to create filters, interfaces that allows for time, which is distance, which is space. We call it space-time. There's space-time. God knows everything about the future. The presence of Da'at among the Sphira will conceal the absolute indeterminacy of Keter, almost forcing it to conform to the laws and established and logic established by Hokmah and Bina. He's going to force you to think. Okay? The very concept of free will that God created in order to bring creation to a desired goal. It was, last line, second paragraph. It was only once these Sphirot were brought into existence that he bound himself, as it were, to follow the rules. Remember a while ago when I showed you the bound, the world of Akudim? God made that so he had to follow his rules. Now, if he's got to follow his own rules, and he does follow his own rules because they're his rules, then how much more do you got to follow his rules?
Totally. Just try.
Nothing prevents him from doing so except the prior commitment to play according to the rules of the game. God made a contract with creation that he would follow the rules laid down in his Hokmah and Bina. But the crown is still hidden, and it is the motivative force acting behind the scene to bring about God's will in creation. In addition, when necessary, the level of Keter will be manifest. For example, when God chooses to circumvent the natural course of history and reveal his absolute authority over creation. What is Keter? Adam Kadmon. When is God going to change and absolute circumvent the course of nature to bring his absolute sovereignty over creation? Mashiach. He's telling you the formula right here, how he's going to do it. Now, if you will, the paradigm for this is when God revealed himself to Moses at the burning bush. The burning bush did not burn. He overrode the natural law of creation. And Moses was Mashiach. You see, whenever the natural course of the laws are overridden, you have just gone from Da'at to Keter. Once you go to Keter, the laws change. It is the law. He's only restricted himself with Keter. Da'at. When this took place, the game changes. The sea split. Bushes don't burn. Okay?
Divine nature, yeah.
Right. The name of God here used is Echia Asher Echia. I will be what I will be. Exodus 3:14. What is 3:14? The gematria of Metatron.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. It's
3:14 is the gematria of Metatron. It's right here.
Isn't it also pi?
Yeah.
It's also pi. It's also pi in math.
It is.
You have to follow the laws of the laws of math are no different than the laws he created because he is the math.
The laws of nature and
Okay.
science are the same.
Science and Torah is the same. There's no division.
Yeah. All right, yeah. It's just
Okay.
like saying that math is Metatron.
But Metatron's gematria is 3:14. And in 3:14, he says, Echia Asher Echia. What is that? The Sphirot Keter. That's the name. The only time this name is revealed before Exodus. So, Moses tapped in to the top part of God because Pharaoh and the Klippa had tapped in to the top part of the backside. And the things that they were able to do, Pharaoh thought he was a god. He was a little g.
Yeah.
He was. He could do things. He could do things that nobody could do. That's why the miracles were so astounding. God had to do something so powerful to show him, you are not a god. Moses goes for him. He says, "Oh, I know all those gods. I know all those names. Hashem, don't know that one." See? Elohim, I know. But I don't know that Havayah thing. That Yud-Heh-Vav thing. Moses goes, "Well, you're fixing to get it."
And he didn't know Hebrew. He knew all the other languages of the world, but he didn't
But
know
yeah.
Hebrew.
Okay, man's free will. If you look on page 55, top of the page, the truth is that whatever man activates his free will, God's da'at disappears. Did y'all hear what I just said? Whenever you activate your keter, there is no constriction between you and God.
When you're doing what you want, you're not doing what he wants.
When you're doing what you want, you're cut off.
Right.
You can't get through the tunnel. But when you do the will of God, you are connecting. You are interfacing. You see.
Are
Then
you there? Like you're there, catcher?
Change your shape and get through the...
because the light that's in you came from him, it's the same light.
Yeah.
All right? It's the same light. Now, one of the most fundamental premises of Judaism is that man was given the ability to choose. See, they switched from will to choice. So you operate your entire life in free choice. You can make any choice you want to make. But if you choose wisely and you go down a path of Torah, you will step into to God's will. You will have keter, and there will be no restriction between you and him in an interface. Moses had no problem talking with God. Joshua had no problem talking with God. David, Solomon, Jacob, they had no problem. There's no issue. Noah had no issue. Shem had no issue. They had no issue. The angels show up. Abraham talks to him and they eat. There's no issue. There's only reasons. There was a reason to talk to God. There was a reason for God to talk to them. If you get out of your issues and have reasons, God hears those. We need this. This is what I'm trying to do with Ger. Why do people not recognize Ger or Ger Toshav?
You're not following the will of God.
Because they aren't tapping into Keter. What is Keter? Cohen. If you do not recognize Cohen, you automatically do not recognize Ger. Because we have B'nai Noach, we have Ger Toshav, we have Ger Tzedek, we have Israelite, Levite, Cohen. That is how God set it up. Read the Torah. But when it's in exile, and when it's concealed, and when it's constricted, and there's a shattered da'at, and you can't get through, you have three things. You have Jew, convert, and goy.
No continuity.
And if we start using the terminology of Torah, and we start defining things in our layers, but this is why the same Torah that they use to say there is no Ger Toshav today, I can use to say there is no Ger Tzedek today. The same Talmud. It's simple. And then we have to ask ourselves, well, what's a Jew? Well, nobody can tell me what a Jew is. But we know what an Israelite is. And as soon as we do that, we can say, well, I know what a Levite is. Oh, I know what a Cohen is. Cohen is lesser Metatron on the planet. He's the one that goes in and talks with God. That's his job. Guess what? Nobody wants to talk to God. Nobody really wants to talk to God. If they did, we could establish a Cohen. And if God's children would say, you know what? We're going to act like there's a temple here. You know what he's going to do? My children need a temple. If they're going to play temple without me, I better do something. But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants Mashiach. Guess what? Mashiach needs a place to put his foot. Adam Kadmon needs the Malchut. And then it's all Keter. Because that's his crown. Nobody wants it. Really. They act like they do, but they don't. They want Mashiach, but they don't want to do what it takes to produce it. We bring it here. Because we are only his light telling it's okay to come. But if you have no knowledge, if you have no da'at, it will never happen. So let's continue. We'll finish up here. I'll read it again. Second paragraph, 55. The most fundamental premise of Judaism is that a man was given the ability to choose and act without the slightest compulsion. This ability distinguished him not only in his action, but also in the profound effect that an act of a human will can have on seamlessly irreversible situations. In other words, what you do affects everything. What you say affects the worlds above. The mitzvahs you do affects the worlds above. Every action has a reaction from above. In fact, as we have said, in order that a man could resemble God, he gave him a divine soul and endowed him with free will, free choice to make free will. Let's clarify that. According to many commentators, this is the meaning of a man having been created in the image of God. You are the exact image of this Sphiro. Right arm, left arm. Keter's the skull. Pineal is the ot. Right brain, left brain. Chokmah Bina, mouth, eyes, ears, nose. Just like Adam Kadmon. You are just concretized light, and he's not. He's not bound by physicality form where you are. And that is the secret of the flesh, which is concretized light from Ayin, from Aleph to Ayin, from 1 to 70, from light to Orla, from Ora to Orla. Boom, circumcision. At Noah's Ark, that was a circumcision. Coming out of Egypt, that was a circumcision. Everything's a circumcision. That's why when you accept the 7 B'nai Noach laws, it's called a Brit. It's called a covenant. It is a circumcision. If you've accepted the 7 Noahic laws and you guard them and follow them, you've been circumcised.
Circumcision of the heart.
Well, there's this, there's that. It's just a progression. But a covenant is a covenant is a covenant. All right? Adam had 6 laws in the garden. The Ben Ish Hai said it's 6 laws, but after the fall you have to have 7. Now you have limb of the living animal because your sod fell out. You see. Thus, man's keter, his aspect of free will, is analogous to God's keter. In other words, there's where you're connected. There's where you have free will. What's your freedom of will to do? His will. The spirit of Keter represents God's absolute freedom of action to bring about his purpose in creation. And you are creation, and you are the actuality of his help. God may have absolute knowledge of the future, but this in no way deprives the individual of his own free choice. See how they go back to free choice there. Okay? This is the meaning of the Talmudic statement that God leads a person along the path that he has chosen to follow. God's going to let you choose, and the path may be really, really difficult. But at some point, if you stay in Torah and you choose Torah and you do Torah, God's gonna lead you from there. You know, and that way, this is how you interface. And when Adam Kadmon Mashiach comes, it ain't gonna surprise you one bit. You're gonna be expecting it. Why? Because you brought it. You're a part of it. You're connected to it. You're interfaced with it. It doesn't get you off guard one bit. So what we'll do is we'll stop right there on page 55. And mercy and repentance will be next. And then we get into Hokmah Bina. We got to go through each one. Y'all want to call it a day, or y'all want to do some, how long we go?
So a little bit, about an hour, maybe.
About an hour?
Yeah, it's about a little bit over an hour.
Want to do just a little bit of...
Yeah, so if you whatever you feel like.
That would do something. All right, I'm going to turn it off. The Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing. And I'm going to turn it right back on, and we're going to do some Elijah. Just a little Elijah. How about that? Cool? All right, guys. Be right back.